In the midst of the vast Indian Ocean, thousands of kilometers from the clamor of civilization, there lies an archipelago that seems to have been crafted by the very gods of desire. Seychelles is not merely a tourist destination, it is a fantasy made real, a land that awakens the senses and unravels routines. Anyone who sets foot on its beaches feels as though they have entered a realm where time dissolves, where pleasure is the compass, and where life unfolds in slow motion, amid smiles, bronzed bodies, and a sun that caresses without burning. Yet beyond its postcard beauty, there exists a hidden world of traditions, customs, and passions that few outsiders ever witness. And it is precisely there that the true journey begins. They say the greatest treasure of Seychelles is neither its white sand nor its turquoise waters, but its people, especially its women. Seychellois women are renowned for more than their exotic beauty, their attitude. They do not wait to be conquered, they choose. With a blend of natural elegance and tropical boldness, the women of Seychelles walk through life with the confidence of those who know their worth. Their skin in golden and deep tones, their hair in loose curls or fine braids, and their eyes shining like the sea after a storm captivate onlookers, yet it is their voice, their laughter, and their gaze that ultimately disarm even the most guarded traveler. The main island, Mahé, functions as the archipelago's neural center. There you will find Victoria, Africa's smallest capital, a picturesque city where bustle entices rather than annoys. Among spice markets, fruit stalls, and the rhythms of sega and motia drifting from courtyards, tourists quickly surrender to local charm. But not everything is as innocent as it appears. Beneath that relaxed atmosphere lies a culture shaped by miscegenation, sensuality, and fluid social norms where love can be fleeting, intense, and frequently shared. The romantic history of Seychelles is steeped in its island geography. In the coastal villages, where sea and land embrace shamelessly, relationships have long been marked by freedom. For generations, women have held central roles in society, household administrators, matriarchs, yet also instigators of romance. In many communities, particularly the more traditional ones, it is customary for them to take the first step when approaching a man, whether local or foreign. That dynamic has fascinated thousands of visitors who arrive with preconceived ideas of courtship and end up enveloped in an experience far more intense than they imagined. There is one phenomenon in particular that has piqued curiosity for years: the holiday romance with tourists. And no, it is not merely about fleeting moonlit encounters. In Seychelles, relationships between locals and visitors often gain surprising depth. Some women, especially on the most visited islands such as Praslin and La Digue, see foreigners not only as a chance for connection but also for adventure and discovery. Numerous tales exist of European, Asian, or Latin American men who arrived with hotel reservations for a single week and ended up staying for months, or even relocating to the island permanently. But beware, in Seychelles not everything is superficial romance. Local culture profoundly values authenticity. Pretending, making empty promises, or adopting an arrogant stance can prove costly. Seychellois women, open to cultural exchange though they may be, do not tolerate disrespect or power games. Whoever offers genuine sincerity finds in them allies, lovers, and friends. Whoever plays games becomes history. Perhaps that is why so many travelers return time and again, not for the beach, but for the look that one afternoon changed their lives. Now then, what about the parties? Because if Seychelles lacks anything, rhythm is certainly not it. Seychellois people celebrate with their bodies. Popular festivities are not merely celebrations, they are rituals of connection where music, food, and dance fuse into a single entity, collective pleasure. One of the most eagerly awaited events of the year is the Creole Festival, a cultural explosion honoring the island's African, European, and Asian heritage. During those days, the streets fill with color, traditional costumes, intoxicating aromas, and gazes that speak louder than 1,000 words. It is in these festivities that many tourists discover what Seychelles truly is. Not just a place, but a state of mind. The beach parties, the drums echoing until dawn, the bodies dancing without guilt, the coconut rum passing amid laughter, all feels like a dream, until you realize it is real. In these settings, relationships flow more freely. It is not uncommon for couples to form within hours and, even if they last only a few days, to live as though eternal. Yet it is not all uninhibited flirtation. There is also room for myths, legends, and secrets enshrouding this land. The islands, covered in jungles, hidden caves, and ancient rock formations, have spawned countless tales of buried treasures, enchantments, and sea spirits. One of the most famous is the pirate Olivier Levasseur's hoard, allegedly hidden somewhere on Mahé. But beyond gold and jewels, some claim certain ancestral rituals of fertility and desire are still practiced deep within the island, in communities that prefer to remain far from tourists and cameras. These traditions, passed down orally through generations, include moonlit ritual dances, baths in waters deemed sacred to enhance fertility, and ceremonies in honor of forgotten goddesses who, according to elders, still listen. In some villages, older women act as guardians of this knowledge, instructing the younger in the secrets of the body, pleasure, and connection with nature. Though many visitors might dismiss it as legend, for locals it forms part of their most intimate identity. Seychelles is undeniably a land of contrasts. On one hand, the luxury of five-star resorts where magnates, film stars, and politicians seek refuge from the world. On the other, the simple life of fishing villages, where breakfast is fresh fruit, lunch is grilled fish, and dinner is enjoyed barefoot in the sand. Between these two worlds thrives a society that, though small, has managed to preserve its essence. And that essence is deeply tied to desire, the desire to live unhurriedly, to enjoy without guilt, to love without rules. In that desire lies Seychelles' true magic. It is not merely a visual paradise, but an emotional territory where each meeting, each glance, and each caress seems amplified by the sheer beauty surrounding it. It is an island where women know they are desired and are unafraid to show they desire in return. A place where the tourist ceases to be a foreigner and becomes, even if only for a few days, part of a story written in salt, sweat, and smiles. Is that why so many return? Or is it that once you know Seychelles, something inside you changes forever? The charm of Seychelles is not confined to its natural scenery or the undeniable beauty of its women. Beyond tourist postcards and tales of fleeting romances, everyday life on these islands reveals a fascinating social and cultural tapestry shaped by centuries of history, colonial influence, and a profound bond with nature. Grasping this dynamic is key to capturing the true essence of a paradise where luxury and authenticity coexist in near-perfect balance. Politically speaking, Seychelles is a young country, yet its history reaches back to remote times. Before the arrival of French and later British colonizers, these islands were unexplored territory, inhabited only by endemic species and mysteries awaiting discovery. Colonization brought not only new rulers but settlers from diverse backgrounds: African slaves, Malagasy laborers, Arab and Indian traders, and Europeans. This cultural blending left an indelible mark on Seychellois society, which today is a vibrant mosaic of ethnicities, traditions, and languages. Seychellois Creole, spoken in streets and homes alike, is the tongue that unites the populace and mirrors that blend. In daily life, it is common to hear phrases sprinkled with French, English, and African words, a language that adapts to the nation's mixed identity. This amalgam is also reflected in gastronomy, music, and social relations. At a single meal, one might encounter a fish curry inspired by Indian recipes, a grilled dish typical of the African coast, and desserts with European influences. This melting pot of flavors likewise mirrors the locals' open, welcoming character, always willing to share their culture with visitors, though from a place of pride and authenticity. Yet not everything in Seychelles is festive or laid back. The national economy is a complex terrain that directly impacts inhabitants' lives and, therefore, the way women and men relate to one another. Tourism is the nation's backbone, generating the majority of jobs and foreign exchange. Luxury hotels, exclusive excursions, restaurants with international chefs. Everything seems to indicate an inaccessible paradise for those outside that world. However, daily reality for many Seychellois is quite different. In villages far from tourist zones, work is based on artisanal fishing, subsistence farming, and local trade. There, luxury appears a mirage, yet human relationships take on a different value: mutual support, extended family, community networks. This contrast between global and local is also felt in how Seychellois women live their sexuality and love. In tourist areas, it is common for some young women to engage with visitors, not only for economic reasons, but also out of curiosity and a desire to experience new cultures. Many speak fluent English and basic French, easing communication. Nevertheless, these relationships are viewed ambivalently within the community, as they may generate tension between the pull of modernity and the preservation of family traditions. In more traditional communities, women often marry young, and marriage remains a strong institution, though its forms have evolved over time. Sometimes love is not the sole factor uniting couples. Familial and economic agreements play a crucial role. Weddings are not merely celebrations of love, but social events where alliances are cemented, goods exchanged, and support networks reinforced. Even so, romanticism does not disappear. Rather, it adapts to circumstances. Women frequently keep the flame alive, arranging celebrations, caring for children, and ensuring family cohesion. Religion also plays an important role in daily life. The majority of the population is Catholic, though Protestant, Hindu, and Muslim beliefs coexist. Spirituality permeates not only religious practices but social customs and perceptions of life and love. In many families, for instance, blessings from elders and religious ceremonies are deemed essential to validate a relationship or commitment. This religiosity likewise influences views on sexuality and fidelity, though the island context provides a flexibility rarely seen elsewhere. A fascinating aspect that shapes life in Seychelles is the intimate, almost sacred relationship between the populace and the sea and nature. The ocean is not only a source of food and livelihood, but of identity. Ancestral traditions tied to fishing, navigation, and belief in sea spirits persist, especially on smaller islands and in rural communities. Women, as cultural custodians, pass on to younger generations respect for the environment and secrets for harmonious coexistence with land and water. This deep connection is reflected in everyday practices: dawn beach baths, gathering medicinal fruits and plants, and rituals blending the religious with the pagan. Tourism, of course, has brought significant changes. Seychelles has positioned itself as an exclusive destination, with resorts competing in elegance and service. Yet an internal debate persists on how to balance development with environmental conservation and cultural protection. The massive influx of visitors has boosted the economy, but also raised concerns about pollution, resource overexploitation, and loss of identity. Therefore, recent years have seen sustainable tourism projects promoting ecosystem protection and respect for traditions. These initiatives seek to ensure visitors not only admire the scenery's beauty, but also engage in authentic experiences, from cooking with local families to attending craft workshops. At the same time, Seychellois youth stand at a crossroads. On one side lies tradition and attachment to the land, on the other, a thirst for modernity and global connection. Many young people migrate to Victoria or even abroad in search of educational and job opportunities. This gives rise to an interesting phenomenon: the Seychellois diaspora, which, though physically distant, keeps cultural ties alive through social media, regular visits, and remittances. This mobility likewise influences family dynamics and the way romantic relationships develop. Long-distance courtships are not unusual, with frequent trips, calls, and messages becoming the new language of love. Social life in Seychelles is a blend of informality and celebration. Gatherings often revolve around food, music, and dance. Traditional dishes such as la daube, a fruit and coconut dessert, grillades, grilled fish, and curry poisson, fish curry, take pride of place at tables. Music, meanwhile, mixes African, European, and Caribbean rhythms, creating a vibrant, festive atmosphere. Traditional dances are not only cultural expression, but social communication where seduction and coquetry play out, frequently led by women who masterfully combine elegance and cheekiness. In short, living in Seychelles means experiencing a reality that defies simple labels. It is a place where nature dictates its rhythm, where luxury coexists with simplicity, and where exotic women are not just objects of desire, but protagonists of a culture that respects and values them. For a visitor, understanding this complexity is essential to avoid staying on the surface and truly connect with the soul of these islands. Thus, Seychelles reveals itself as a paradise that seduces with its appearance yet conquers with its essence. A place where each human encounter invites discovery, to lose oneself in beauty and to surrender to a unique rhythm, one of an island that lives and breathes desire, history, and authenticity. Seychelles dazzles not only with its white sand beaches and crystalline waters, but also with its role as a sanctuary for global biodiversity. In an archipelago composed of more than 100 islands, nature manifests in its fullest glory, with unique ecosystems harboring species found nowhere else on Earth. This natural wealth is not only a source of national pride, but profoundly shapes the lifestyle and culture of its inhabitants. The tropical forests of Seychelles are draped in dense vegetation, forming an apparently endless green cloak. Takamaka, pandanus, and ebony trees grow alongside giant ferns and orchids, creating a landscape that feels almost magical. Yet the most precious jewel is undoubtedly the coco de mer, an endemic palm whose gigantic, suggestively shaped seeds have fueled legends and mysteries for centuries. This fruit, which can weigh up to 30 kilograms, is considered a symbol of fertility and abundance and is strictly protected to prevent indiscriminate commercial exploitation. This respectful relationship with nature permeates everyday Seychellois life, whose philosophy embraces harmonious coexistence with the environment. Artisanal fishing remains a traditional activity, vital for local subsistence, practiced not on a massive or predatory scale, but according to a natural balance. Fishers venture out in small boats, use selective nets, and respect closed seasons to ensure marine resources sustainability. This practice has preserved not only ecosystems, but also traditions and knowledge passed down through generations. At the center of this bond with nature is the ecological consciousness embraced by authorities and ordinary citizens alike. Seychelles has been a pioneer in creating protected areas and national parks, with laws restricting construction in vulnerable zones and promoting sustainable tourism. The Saint-Anne Marine Park, for instance, one of Africa's first, protects coral reefs, mangroves, and turtle-nesting beaches. For locals, these reserves are not merely tourist attractions, but invaluable patrimony defining their identity and future. Another defining trait of Seychelles is the importance of art and culture as identity expression. Despite being geographically small, its artistic production is surprisingly rich and diverse. Music, painting, sculpture, and crafts are part of daily life and serve as vehicles for storytelling and tradition preservation. Particularly Sega music, with its lilting rhythms and lyrics about the sea, love, and history, is fundamental at parties and social gatherings. Women are often the main performers and guardians of these musical customs, passing their passion and sensitivity to new generations. Craftsmanship likewise reflects local creativity. In island markets and shops, objects made from natural materials such as shells, woods, coconut fibers, and stones are commonplace. Designs incorporate motifs referencing island flora and fauna, as well as cultural symbols narrating the population's mixed heritage. Women artisans especially have found in this activity a source of income, granting economic independence without forsaking their roots. This blend of tradition and entrepreneurship forms part of Seychelles' economic pulse beyond mass tourism. However, Seychelles also faces challenges common to any nation striving to balance development and preservation. Economic dependence on tourism can create vulnerabilities, particularly when phenomena such as pandemics or global crises affect visitor flow. Consequently, recent years have seen efforts to diversify the economy, including sustainable fishing, organic agriculture, and renewable energy production. This process not only yields positive environmental impact, but also reshapes many Seychellois' daily lives, who must adapt to new forms of work and coexistence. Education has played a crucial role in transforming society. Seychelles boasts a literacy rate near 100% and free, high-quality public schooling that has significantly reduced poverty and inequality. Women in particular have achieved prominent positions in this regard, accessing higher levels of education and workforce participation. This progress has altered family and social dynamics, granting them greater autonomy and voice in decisions previously dominated by patriarchal structures. Today, many women hold posts in public administration, healthcare, and education, proving that empowerment is a tangible reality on these islands. International influences also reach Seychelles strongly, especially through technology and pop culture. Young Seychellois are connected to the digital world and consume global music, cinema, and fashion. This creates an intriguing tension between tradition preservation and openness to new forms of expression. Far from losing identity, however, this mix has given rise to a vibrant, ever-evolving culture that seamlessly marries the ancestral with the modern. As previously mentioned, gastronomy offers yet another window onto Seychelles' history and diversity. Beyond typical dishes, Asian and European influence pervades culinary techniques and presentations. High-end restaurants combine local ingredients with international styles, delivering experiences satisfying both demanding tourists and islanders themselves. Yet, home-cooked food remains the heart of family life, where recipes transmitted by mothers and grandmothers become rituals of union and celebration. Finally, nightlife and social life in Seychelles, though more tranquil than in other tourist destinations, provide spaces where luxury and authenticity intermix. Seafront bars, beach parties, and cultural events enable locals and visitors to meet and share memorable moments. In these venues, the exotic women of Seychelles display not only their beauty but their charisma and culture, seducing not merely through appearance but with stories, laughter, and a unique attitude reflecting island spirit. This exploration reveals that Seychelles is far more than a paradisiacal destination. It is a place where nature, culture, history, and modernity intertwine to forge a unique identity. Exotic women and luxury are not simple labels, but components of a complex, fascinating whole that invites newcomers to discover a world where every corner tells a story and every encounter is an experience transcending the visible. Life in Seychelles, beyond its heavenly beaches and lush landscapes, is deeply marked by the intersection of tradition and modernity, luxury and simplicity. In this chapter, we will dive into the daily rhythm, social structure, and challenges this island nation faces as it strives to maintain its unique essence while adapting to the demands of the 21st century. Education has been a fundamental pillar for Seychelles' progress. With a literacy rate close to 100% and free access to learning, the country has achieved important advances in training professionals across various fields. This achievement is reflected in the growing presence of young Seychellois in both local and international universities, and in the diversification of economic activities thanks to the population's technical and academic preparation. Women especially have secured a prominent place in the labor sphere, from public administration to sectors such as healthcare, education and tourism, reflecting a shift in traditional social dynamics. Yet life in this small paradise is not without its difficulties. Insularity presents significant logistical and economic challenges. Dependence on imports for food, fuel and other essential goods renders the cost of living high, affecting families with modest incomes in particular. Moreover, limited land area poses constraints on urban growth and agricultural expansion, prompting government initiatives to improve food self-sufficiency through organic farming and community projects that aim to optimize soil and available resources. Climate change is another critical issue for Seychelles. Rising sea levels and coastal erosion threaten the beaches and reefs underpinning its tourism-based economy and local biodiversity. Consequently, the country has become a leader in the global fight against global warming, actively participating in international conferences and adopting national measures to reduce its carbon footprint, such as investing in renewable energies and promoting sustainable transport. These actions reflect the deep environmental awareness characteristic of Seychellois society, which understands its future is intrinsically linked to the planet's health. Regarding social life, Seychelles combines the relaxed pace typical of a tropical setting with the modernity of a globalized economy. Social media and internet access have transformed how young people relate, create, and consume culture. Nevertheless, oral tradition and direct contact remain essential, especially in rural communities where stories, legends, and ancestral teachings are transmitted by word of mouth, reinforcing collective identity and a sense of belonging. The role of exotic, charismatic women in this society is crucial, not merely for their beauty, but because they embody the fusion of past and present, heritage, and new opportunities. Many work in tourism, fashion, music, or art, presenting the world with a diverse, sophisticated image of Seychelles. Simultaneously, they are community leaders and entrepreneurs driving social and economic projects, demonstrating that the country's true wealth lies in its people. Ultimately, life in Seychelles is an experience that challenges superficial expectations. Beyond the luxury and exoticism that attract thousands of tourists each year, there exists a complex, dynamic society conscious of its challenges and proud of its heritage. The combination of sustainable development, cultural identity, and environmental commitment forms a model which, although not free of difficulties, offers real hope for the future of this corner of the Indian Ocean that continues to mesmerize with its beauty and soul.